up, Browns fans? Nathan Segura here, welcoming you in to the Friday edition of Browns Live, the draft special presented by Graham and Fisk's Wine in a Can. And boy, the first round of the NFL draft in the books. The Browns picking at number 26, Andrew Berry, poised, patient as ever, letting the draft come to him. And the Browns end up getting the guy they coveted, cornerback Greg Newsome, the second out of Northwestern. We had talked all week long about quarterback being the top priority for the team in this draft. The question was, would Newsome be on the board when the Browns picked? And as it would have it, a couple of running backs go right before Cleveland to Pittsburgh and to Jacksonville, and Newsome's name was there, and he was the pick. And I talked with Andrew Berry last night, and I can tell you he was elated about it, as was Greg Newsome himself, thrilled to become a Cleveland Brown. And you see the ball skills that he possesses. One of the best cover corners in the draft last year when opponents targeted Newsome, who was first team All Big Ten. Guess what? 15.7 quarterback rating allowed, best in the entire FBS. He allowed 10 completions on the season. He had 10 pass breakups. Every time they completed a pass, he broke one up. Absolutely incredible, allowing just one completion in his last 4 games. And in fact, it was Newsome who allowed only one completion of more than 10 yards in the air all season last year at Northwestern. And when you look at his makeup, tall, long, wiry, incredible athleticism, can play press man, but also is very comfortable and off if we're playing quarters or a cover 3. He's a guy that can do all of the things Joe Woods wants from a cornerback in this defense. And you add him to the starting mix there with Denzel Ward, the former first rounder of Ohio State, and the great Greedy Williams, the second rounder 2 years ago out of LSU, and the Browns corner are looking pretty darn good at this time. What do we have coming up for you on today's show? Well, let me tell you, we're going to talk with Jake Trotter, who covers the Browns for ESPN, about what he saw in round 1. We will also take a look ahead to round 2 and 3. That's what's on tap tonight here, Friday night of the draft. The Browns with 3 picks tonight. It begins with pick number 59 in the second round, and then picks 89 and 91 in the third round. But Greg Newsome, maybe he'll pop by. You never know what's going to happen on Browns Live, folks, but you can get your questions in using the hashtag Browns Live as well to let us know what you're thinking, and also to get your questions in, and we will answer them here as we go through it. But what a wild night it was in round 1 of the 2021 NFL Draft. Quarterbacks going 1, 2, 3. The big question was what was going to happen with the 49ers in that third pick. They ended up selecting Trey Lance. Mac Jones goes 15 to New England. 5 quarterbacks in the top 15. Justin Fields, of course, going to Chicago, who traded up to get the Ohio State quarterback. But for the Browns, the focus has been, as it has been all offseason, on the defensive side of the football. And you think about the fact now on the back end, John Johnson, Troy Hill, Greg Newsome, not to mention the returns of Grant Delpit and Greedy Williams, adding those to Denzel Ward and Ronnie Harrison. And you've got the makings of an incredible secondary on the back end. And think about this. Joe Woods, I told you he talked to us on Cleveland Browns Daily, said, I want to play dime about 400 snaps. That's multiple corners and safety, 6 defensive backs, sometimes even 7. That's what he would like to do. He only got to do it 16 times last year. He wants to do that 400 plus times this year, and now he's got the personnel to do it. And I think this is wonderful. You're gonna have some competition at that cornerback position, but let me tell you, we say it's Browns Live. We're putting the live in it because guess what? Greg Newsome is joining us now live on the program. And Greg, congratulations. I got to talk to you last night. Nathan Segura, great to see you. Congratulations and welcome to the Cleveland Browns. How are you feeling, man? Welcome to town. Greg, last night when the Browns made that call to you, what was going through your mind? I know you wanted to go earlier, everybody does, but when it was time, you're joining a team certainly on the rise in the Cleveland Browns. What was that moment like for you? We saw the video, the reaction, your family, the excitement, the enthusiasm, but what was that like for you?
Came to light.
So, Greg, here you come into town. What's today been like? You fly in, you get a tour of the facility. I'm sure you got people that you've met already, more to meet. But what's just this day been like for you? Your dream comes true. You are now an NFL cornerback, and now it's time to start the process of getting acclimated and, of course, getting to work.
Yeah, most definitely. This day has been amazing. For the past 2 months, it's been a Zoom fest.
Yeah.
I've been on Zoom for the last 2 months, so it's finally great to, put the face with the name and with the voice and everything like that. So being able to meet the coaches and to see the facility is just amazing.
Greg, one question I had for you last night when we talked, and you talked about your competitive nature. And, there are two types of people in the world. There are those people who like winning more than they hate losing, and then there are people who just hate losing so much that they can't do anything but find a way to win. You're in that latter camp. Let everybody know just about your competitive nature. I've heard about it from your coaches and from you last night, but I love that about you, that you hate losing.
Yes, sir. Like you said, man, I hate losing. I'll do whatever it takes to win a game. Like you said, I would rather I would want to win. I just can't lose. Like my competitive nature just comes honestly just from trying to be the best at everything I do. Like I said earlier, if I'm versing a 2-year-old, a 5-year-old, a 10-year-old, a 20-year-old, like I want to win in anything I do. It could be video games, we could be racing. Like I really don't care. And I'm just gonna try to bring that attitude to the Browns, and just to keep that competitive edge up every single time I play.
When you think about, this defense in particular, sometimes you'll be in press man. We've seen some of those highlights. You like to get up near the line of scrimmage, but you're also very comfortable off the ball in cover 3 or quarters looks. What have you talked at all and kind of just let the fans know, how do you see your style and how you see it fitting here?
Yeah, I'm like I said earlier, I'm the most versatile guy in this draft. So whatever coach needs me to do, I'm more than willing to do. If I got to go in the nickel and play the nickel position, if I need to go play off at corner, or if I even need to go and play safety a little bit, I can do it all. So I definitely see my skill set being able to easily translate to this defense.
So you mentioned you were on Zoom for months and months and months. Well, clearly your Zoom sessions, obviously the film is great, but your Zoom sessions with the Cleveland Browns convinced them that, hey, you have the right makeup, the right football intelligence, the right competitive fire to be a Cleveland Brown. Do you remember anything about your meetings with the Browns that stood out to you where you said, hey, maybe, there was something there. You felt something, okay, all right, maybe this is something that could happen here in the future?
Yeah, no, most definitely. I talked to them pretty early in the process, but they were just so like just happy to talk to a guy like me. They said they're looking for guys who are just willing to put their head down and just work hard. And when I told them, even when my freshman year, when I was willing to burn my red shirt just to necessarily play special teams in the Big Ten championship game, they're like, wow, this is the type of guy we need on this football team. I told the coach, whether that's if I need to go play 50 snaps on special teams, that's what I'll have to do. Maybe I'm not the starter next season. Obviously, that's a goal of mine. But, whatever I can do to help this team win, that's definitely what I'll do.
You love that mentality, and I'll tell you what, Kevin Stefanski's going to love that mentality. He's all about the work, all about the team, and doing whatever you can to help get those wins. What did it mean yesterday to see the outpouring of support for you from Browns fans on social media?
Man, it seems surreal, man. Like, you see some of those draft picks that a team will pick, and the fans are like, man, come on. But just to see like the Browns community really embrace me is just amazing. That's just another way for me to just show the guys and to show the Browns community that I'm gonna give it my all every single day. And obviously I think they see that in my film that I'm a guy that they'll get used to seeing making plays out there all the time.
And I also saw, you couldn't help but notice, a lot of the guys on the team reaching out to you on social media, even in your cornerback room, Denzel and Greedy. What have you gotten a chance to talk with them other than the social media? And then when you saw that, though, was that pretty cool for you?
Yeah, I was like, man, Greedy Williams, Denzel Ward. Like, I kind of mirror my game after a guy like Denzel Ward. So when I seen him on Twitter say something, I'm like, man, that's so cool. I haven't been able to talk to those guys yet. Baker Mayfield actually reached out to me, which is also crazy. I'm like, man, this is the number one pick of the draft, and he reached out to say what's up, and just to see how I was doing. Myles Garrett also reached out. So, just seeing the support from guys like that, they didn't have to do that, but that just kind of shows the brotherhood of this team already. I'm finally a part of the team, but I haven't actually got to meet the guys personally yet, and they're just showing love already. So I just can't wait, to get in that locker room and get on the field and compete with those guys.
Well, coming from Northwestern, you know a lot about culture and football smarts and what it takes for a team, to be able to come together and excel. And Anthony Walker Jr. made the decision. The Browns told you, hey, we want you. You're coming to the Browns. He made the decision. A former Northwestern guy made the decision to join this team. So you kind of already have somebody from the collegiate, background in the building there. And it's that culture that you talked about, to have Baker Mayfield and Miles reach out to you. Have you got a chance to talk with Anthony Walker Jr. about, coming here and getting together, bringing some Northwestern flavor to this Cleveland Browns team?
Man, now that you say that, I talk to Anthony Walker all the time. Like we were talking every day pretty much coming up into this draft. He was like, bro, they're going to be a Cleveland Brown. I was like, man, I hope so. Like, I would love to play with you out there, man. But, I called him right after the draft as well, and he was like, I told you so. And I was like, man, you did tell me so. But, I just can't wait to play with a guy like that. I wasn't able to play with him in college because he left the year I got there. But that kind of shows you the brotherhood that we had at Northwestern as well, where that was a guy who was reaching out, and we never really talked to each other and met too much in person. So that's kind of like how I see this Cleveland Browns team. I never played with any of these guys, but the fact that they're reaching out and supporting me is just amazing.
I love it. I love seeing the smile on your face, the enthusiasm. We really appreciate you stopping by. I know it's a crazy day, but I want to leave you with one final question. What is something that you want the Browns fans to know about Greg Newsome II?
Yeah, something that I want Browns fans to know about me is, I'm going to give it obviously all I got on the field. Like I said, I'll do whatever it takes to win a game, but I just want them to know I'm just as good as a person off the field. Like, that's what I want to be known by. I want to be known by a guy who's giving back to his community, giving back to the less fortunate, and just trying to make a positive impact in the community. So I'm going to give it my all on the field, but I will also give my all off the field as well.
I love that, Greg. Congratulations on realizing your NFL dream, and now it's just the start of the journey. I think big things here happening with the Cleveland Browns, and you're going to be a big part of it, so congrats, and looking forward to seeing you get out on the field.
I appreciate you for having me.
All right, Greg Newsome, the Browns' first-round pick. Join us on Browns Live. They don't call Browns Live for nothing, folks. It's not Browns Taped. You never know what's going to happen. Get your questions in using the hashtag Browns Live. Still to come, Jake Trotter. A look ahead to round 2 and 3 as the 2021 NFL Draft is rolling. And this is the Browns Live Draft Special presented by Graham and Fisk's Wine in a Can.
I'm Graham.
And I'm Fisk.
And we're the founders of Man Can Wine.
And Graham and Fisk, wine in a can.
100% California award-winning wine in a proven package. And announcing our Rookie of the Year, 8.4 ounces of award-winning California wine.
We've got red, we've got white, we've got rosé with bubbles, and we've got white with bubbles.
All with Wine Enthusiast Magazine Best Buy Awards.
Shipped right to your door.
Visit footballwine.com.
Order now.
Welcome to Cleveland, home of the 2021 draft.
With the first pick, the Cleveland Browns select. He's got it! Touchdown! And here comes Chubb. He's going! He's gone! Nick Chubb is in! Touchdown!
Welcome to the land. Let's rock the clock.
At university hospitals, our sports medicine experts bring science and compassion together to develop personalized care plans for athletes at every level, from Pee-wee to pro. The same experts who care for the Cleveland Browns, the Cleveland Monsters, and the Cleveland Ballet keep our local athletes performing at their best. Schedule an appointment at uhsports.org. University Hospitals, the science of health, the art of compassion.
The door to a car you've been saving for. The door to a personal loan that feels genuinely personal. The door to a bedroom for each of your teenagers. The door to a new employee who's also your neighbor. And the door to a happy and full life for you and everyone you know. This year, KeyBank has already opened over 170,000 doors, helping people get from where they were to where they wanted to be. KeyBank opens doors.
Arby's, 2 for $6. Every day, Greek gyros and a spicy one Opa! 2 of those things for just $6. Arby's, we have the meats.
Welcome back to the Browns Live Draft Special presented by Graham & Fisk's Wine in a Can. Nathan Zagura, and boy, that was a lot of fun. Greg Newsome, he's in the building. That's the perk of being here. And Berea just popped in with us. That was your first exclusive look at the Browns' first-round pick in the 2021 NFL Draft. And now you got another treat, a feast for your senses, as ESPN's Jake Trotter joins us here on Browns Live. And Jake, for the Browns last night, boy, I really don't think that first round could have gone any better, as they stand pat and get the guy they wanted, cornerback Greg Newsome, falling right into their laps.
Yeah, no doubt, Nathan. I asked Andrew Berry about this last night. Were you guys a little surprised he was there for you at 26? And, Andrew, I think his response was that they thought it was 50-50. But I heard that they thought that he was going to go on, somewhere around 20, 21, maybe, as low as 23, but not all the way down at 26. So to get that kind of value for a player at a position, premium position, in a position of need, I thought was a home run first round for the Browns.
It seemed that way, and it was such an interesting draft to see it unfold. You started to say, okay, maybe some things can happen. Alex Leatherwood goes to the Raiders at 17. The Bears trade up and take a quarterback. That was a team that was rumored maybe to be in that market. The Giants end up taking a receiver at 20 because they traded back into that spot. 2 running backs go back-to-back for probably feels like the first time in a long time in the first round of the draft. And all of a sudden, there you were sitting with Newsome was on the board. JOK was on the board. Edge rushers you may have wanted. Receivers you may have wanted. All there, and I know Andrew Berry contemplated, maybe moving up to be aggressive to go get Newsome. Instead, was able to sit back. Once Farley goes to Tennessee, it looked like pretty smooth sailing, and that's the way that it ended up. And, you mentioned corner as a need. Why did you see it that way? And as you were watching the draft unfold, were you starting to say to yourself, yeah, this actually might happen here tonight?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, Nathan. And you looked at you knew the draft, the offensive players were going to go first, right? The defensive players were going to fall, but I was surprised by how much they fell. And I think there were 3 or 4 guys on the board when they picked at 26 that they would have felt very comfortable with taking. And we'll see what happens, in the second round, whether they can, maybe move up and get one of those guys. But to me, you look at the secondary, the work they've already done in free agency, safety positions, signing John Johnson III, getting Hill to fill the nickelback spot. They could have gotten by without a corner, but you look at Greedy coming off a year-ending injury he suffered in training camp. Denzel Ward has missed some time. You've got to have corners in the AFC. I mean, you got to have corners when you play Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson and, now Joe Burrow. I mean, it's just the list goes on of quality quarterbacks you've got to get through to get to the Super Bowl. So you can, in my opinion, you can never have too many edge rushers, and you can never have too many corners. So that's why I feel like it was a position of need. Not that they had some desperate glaring hole there, kind of the way that they did at left tackle last year, but that, they needed to reinforce the depth, because you don't want to be in a position like last season where you lose a guy and you're scrambling. They could lose a corner to injury, knock on wood, this season, and they would be all right. And I think that they feel very good about the depth that they now have in their secondary across the board.
Yeah, and listen, Joe Woods is a guy who has, gotten to this point with his work with defensive backs, his work in the secondary in Denver before becoming the DC there, and obviously with the 49ers before becoming the DC here. And so you want to get him those guys. And you think about the change from last year. Greedy comes back, Delpit comes back, you bring in John Johnson, you bring in Hill, as you mentioned, and now you draft Newsome. And Jake, I got to ask you, this secondary has at least the potential to be one of the better secondary groups in the NFL, doesn't it?
I don't think there's any question they have a chance to at least be one of the most improved, if not one of the better units overall. That's going to require guys like Delpit and Greedy Williams coming back and getting to the level they were at last training camp. That's going to require, Denzel Ward staying on the field. But on paper, the potential is there for this to be a really deep and talented, defensive secondary. You had a premier corner in Newsome that can really cover and make it hard on opposing quarterbacks to complete passes. I don't think there's any doubt that you look at the secondary now, and it's a strength. And I wouldn't have said it last season. I thought, obviously it was an Achilles heel at times. As long as they stay healthy, that no longer is the case.
which is exciting to see. And you mentioned some of the things you're going to have to contend with in the AFC, just in our division. I mean, you think about the fact now that the Bengals, they drafted Jamar Chase 5th overall, so they'll have Chase and Higgins and Boyd. You go to the Steelers, where they're going to run back with Juju and Deontay Johnson and Chase Claypool. And then the Ravens now have Bateman, Hollywood Brown, Sammy Watkins, Mark Andrews. And while they're not maybe necessarily a pass-oriented offense, you're going to have to cover in our division all of a sudden. They said that this is the division where it's running and cold and physical. This is a passing division now, and you're going to have to be able to handle those guys to be able to win.
Yeah, no question. I think what we're looking at entering this offseason is got to get better at covering. And if they were better at covering the pass, I mean, who knows what happens at Kansas City? That's what really, hurt them at times is they could not cover well enough to win that game. And, I think that, if they're in a situation where they have to go to Kansas City again, nevertheless, how talented, Mahomes and that receiving core, pass catching core is, they also much better about their chances to hang in there than they probably did going into that game last season.
There's no question. So now we've got that solidified. My question to you is, Jake, 3 picks tonight, 59, 89, 91. What positions are you looking at? Any players that you're looking at? And you mentioned it earlier, so I'm going to bring it back. Trade up, not really been the Browns' MO, but it feels like, you got the extra third, the extra fourth. Maybe this is a time to get aggressive here in the second round and land somebody. But who are you targeting, Jake Trotter?
Yeah, no, I think that's they have the goods to trade up if they wanted to. We'll see, what happens. Obviously they don't pick until later, in the second round. So that, they would have to move up quite a bit to get one of the premier players defensively that have fallen into the second round. And there are 4 or 5 really good ones. Everybody from, Christian Barmore, linebacker, Notre Dame. I like Ronnie Perkins, the edge rusher from Oklahoma. There are 4, 5, 6 really, I think, first-round caliber defensive players. It'll be interesting to see where they fall. But I also could see, the Browns circle back to receiver.
Yep.
And I think there's going to be some good guys for them there as well. You look at, Tutu Atwell, the slack out of Louisville, one of the lightest guys, I think, in the draft in recent history, but a guy can really make plays. I mean, everybody in Ohio remembers, Rondale Moore and what he did to the Buckeyes a couple of years ago. I think that's a guy to watch. You look at Dwayne Eskridge from Western Michigan, a guy here that they really like as well. So I think there's going to be the potential for, a receiver to be there, in the late second round that could really help this offense. And then, you look at the third round, if you're looking for this year's Grant Delpit, what about Sean Wade from Ohio State? Had kind of a rough season, but, was spectacular the year before, would have been a first-round pick, had he come out early, dealt with some injuries last year, maybe a little bit undervalued right now. I think there's the potential for them to still bolster, the secondary later on in the draft.
Jake, great insight as always. It's going to be fun tonight to see Andrew Berry execute that plan. I'm with you. Some speed at wide receiver I think would be very nice to add in. And then we have the flexibility with this roster to go in many different directions. Follow him on Twitter at Jake_Trotter for great Browns coverage. And not surprising, by the way, that he liked the pass rusher Perkins out of Oklahoma. We'll be back with some final thoughts here on today's edition of the Browns Live Draft Special presented by Graham and Fisk's Wine in a Can.
I'm Graham.
And I'm Fisk.
And we're the founders of Man Can Wine.
And Graham and Fisk, wine in a can.
100% California award-winning wine in a proven package. And announcing our Rookie of the Year, 8.4 ounces of award-winning California wine.
We've got red, we've got white, we've got rosé with bubbles, and we've got white with bubbles.
All with Wine Enthusiast Magazine Best Buy Awards.
Shipped right to your door.
Visit footballwine.com.
Order now.
Wendy's new jalapeno popper chicken sandwich and salad prove Wendy's goes all in on flavor. Unlike...
we put a bun inside the sandwich. Bun, bun, bun.
Hurry into Wendy's and try the new jalapeno popper chicken duo today.
Dad, what are you doing?
I'm putting extra spring in our spring cleaning sale.
Is that what you call it?
During our spring cleaning sale,
lease a new Trax for $99 a month or a new Equinox for $149 a month.
And get our free 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty.
If you're worried about bad credit, no problem. We can help.
So if you're thinking Chevy,
think Serpentini in Westlake, Medina, Willoughby Hills, Talmadge, Orville, and Strongsville.
American
and proud
of it.
Pretty good springs for an old guy.
Great philosopher Socrates once said, "To find yourself, think for yourself." Great philosopher Arby's once said, "Y'all ever put spicy sauce on a 2 for €6?" Arby's, we have the meats.
Discount Drug Mart is your trusted hometown healthcare provider and your immunization destination. And now Drug Mart is your convenient, quick, and safe destination for the COVID-19 vaccine. Simply register for your free vaccine at covid.discount-drugmart.com. No endlessly searching for an appointment. We will contact you in the way that works best for you. Then you will choose the date and time to schedule your vaccination. Simple as that. Discount Drug Mart is proud to serve our communities.
No matter how early you're up or how late you're running, when you start your day at Speedway, we've got what you need to have a good morning. We've got it hot, we've got it cold, we've got it sprinkled, we've got it ready. We're here to make your morning a little better, because when you get off to a better start, you go on to a better day. The official convenience store of the Cleveland Browns.
Wendy's new jalapeno popper chicken sandwich and salad prove Wendy's goes all in on flavor. Unlike...
We put a bun inside the sandwich. Bun, bun, bun.
Hurry into Wendy's and try the new jalapeno popper chicken duo today.
Welcome back into the Browns Live Draft Special presented by Graham and Fists Wine in a Can. What a show today. Greg Newsome, the first-round pick of your Cleveland Browns, stopping by. Some great analysis from Jake Trotter. And now we'll turn our attention to tonight's activities. We'll have full coverage of it for you on the Cleveland Browns University Hospitals Radio Network tonight starting at 7 through midnight. The Browns 3 picks tonight. Pick number 59 in the second round and 2 in the third, picks 89 and 91. So what should we be looking for, Browns fans? Well, first of all, there are still some big names left on the board. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, many thought would go in the first round, the linebacker, safety, nickelback out of Notre Dame. You've got some great pass rushers still left, like Azeez Ojulari out of Georgia, Joseph Asai out of Texas, Ronnie Perkins, who Jake Trotter mentioned, out of Oklahoma. Trevin Moehrig, the safety from TCU, many thought would be gone in the first round, and he is still on the board. Great corners like Asante Samuel Jr., Elijah Molden, Tyson Campbell out of Georgia. Dane Brugler, by the way, thinks Tyson Campbell goes 33rd, the first pick of the second round tonight, to the Jags. So a lot of talented players still out there. Also at wide receiver, Elijah Moore out of Ole Miss last year. He led the FBS in catches and receiving yards per game while playing for Lane Kiffin. Now, Lane Kiffin's brother, Chris Kiffin, is the Browns' defensive line coach, so I imagine the Browns would have a pretty good scouting report on Moore, who has great hands and the ability to make big plays down the field. I think one of the best receiver prospects in this draft class. I think the Browns could be looking at a receiver here today, and if they do, Moore would be a great one, but I'm guessing that would require a trade up. The Browns could make some trade-ups, though. They have that extra third and the extra fourth. Maybe they're aggressive to get a guy like Moore. There's another Moore out there, Rondale Moore from Purdue. In fact, Dane Brugler, who nailed the Browns' first-round pick of Greg Newsome, has Rondale Moore going to the Browns at pick number 59. He is dynamic in the short area. Not the biggest guy, but boy, he plays like it as you see him running through tackles in that unbelievable game he had back in 2018 against the Buckeyes when he became the first Big Ten wide receiver freshman to be a first-team All-American. And so that adds some speed. He can help in the return game. Other guys like Diami Brown out of North Carolina, who's averaged over 20 yards a catch each of the last 2 seasons, a vertical burner. You have somebody like Dwayne Eskridge. You take a look at Brown, the best double-move receiver in the league, a little hesitation, and he's gone. Look at the separation he generates. That is pure vertical speed. That's something that gives opposing defenses and defensive coordinators some real pause. I think Brown certainly could be in the mix to add that speed element here to the Cleveland Browns. There's also Dwayne Eskridge out of Western Michigan, who was the MAC Special Teams Player of the Year, a great kick returner, but also somebody who averaged 23.8 yards per catch and over 130 yards per game. Another vertical guy. There's Tutu Atwell out of Louisville, who's small, but boy, is he shifty, very tough in space. So Receiver, I think, in play for the Browns. We mentioned maybe some edge rushers. We talked about them. I think that's a position group that the Browns could look to add to as well, because both Tack McKinley and Jadeveon Clowney here on 1-year deals, and you want to have somebody here that can learn but also be ready for the future. Tomorrow's needs might not be today's needs. The defensive line in the interior, Christian Barmore, the defensive tackle from Alabama, many thought would go in the first round. There are a couple good ones. Ozurike out of Washington as well. They could be there in the second round for the Browns, some big defensive tackles. So a lot of options, linebacker, safety, corner. It's all still in play for the Browns. I do think look for the Browns to add some speed at the receiver position at some point tonight, because I think that's the one skill set that they might be missing on this offense, because otherwise they are just running it back. We want to thank all of you for being with us, and don't forget, we've got something special. May 12th, the Browns Live schedule release with myself and Joe Thomas, 7:30. We will get you the schedule 30 minutes prior to the NFL's release at 8, and the only place to get it that early is on the Browns Live schedule release special. So mark it on your calendars, set an alarm in your phones, and get ready. The first 17-game season in NFL history, the biggest schedule release ever, and it's happening exclusively on Browns Live with myself and Joe Thomas and each and every one of you. Thanks for joining us on another draft special of Browns Live. We'll have another one tomorrow in the afternoon, early evening at the conclusion of the third round of the NFL draft. Dane Brugler will stop by and give you the lowdown on all of the Browns picks. Congrats and thanks to Greg Newsome for stopping by. Thank you to Jake Trotter, and for our great production team in the back, I'm Nathan Segura, thanking you, the best fans in the NFL, for watching Browns Live, presented by Graham and Fisk's Wine in a Can.